Welcome to Puerto Rico English News, the only English-speaking broadcast of local Puerto Rican news and entertainment. Please subscribe. Keep us alive.
August 4th, former Governor Wanda Vasquez Garced was arrested Thursday morning by federal authorities and accused of 3 charges of corruption. Former Puerto Rico Governor Wanda Vasquez was arrested on bribery charges, according to a statement from the Department of Justice. It marks the first time that a former leader of the island faces federal charges. A political consultant for the former governor and the president of the International Bank pleaded guilty to involvement in a bribery scheme, the Justice Department added. Juan Hato Rey, a spokesman for Vasquez, said he did not have immediate comment. According to the indictment, beginning in 2019, International Bank owner Julio Velutini and Mark Rossini were the subject of an audit by Puerto Rico's Office of the Commissioner of Financial Institutions. The bank executives allegedly promised to provide $300,000 to support the governor's 2020 gubernatorial campaign in exchange for her terminating the commissioner of OCIF and appointing a new commissioner of the banker's choosing. The indictment further alleges that following the former governor's election loss in August 2020, the banker sought to bribe her successor, another public official, by offering funding in support of his campaign in exchange for ending the audit. Relatedly, the department also announced the guilty pleas of 2 individuals in connection with the schemes to bribe Governor Vasquez Garced and another public official. According to court documents, in March, Francis Diaz pleaded guilty to conspiring with the banker to bribe a public official. Diaz was, until February 2022, the CEO and president of the International Bank. In March, Blakeman pleaded guilty to conspiring with the bankers to bribe the governor and to bribe a public official. In summary, the bribery scheme for which former Governor Wanda Vasquez Garced was accused includes Venezuelan banker Julio Velutini and Mark Rossini. The former governor maintains her innocence. The lawyer, Frances Diaz Fosse, and her partner, Blakeman, pleaded guilty to bribery and corruption charges related to the case.
Tuesday, August 9th, the head of the United States Marshals Service in Puerto Rico, Wilmer Ocasio-Ibarra, announced the capture of DUANTA Head, a suspect in the case of the death of a woman, whose torso was found inside a suitcase, in an apartment, in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. DUANTA Head, of American origin, was arrested in the state of Tennessee, where he had been hiding since last May, when local authorities began to investigate the murder. An Aguadilla court issued an arrest warrant against the suspect, on June 6, for crimes related to the destruction of evidence and the weapons law. According to the police investigation, agents found the torso of a woman inside a suitcase, in the apartment where the suspect lived, in Aguadilla, May 1, 2022. The criminal indictments accuse Head of using a saw to destroy evidence, and dismember the body of Linda M. Ebner Perez. Parts of the body were found in the apartment, while the rest were scattered through vacant lots, in the urban area of that town. DUANTA Head will be in the custody of the security authorities of the state of Tennessee, and the process for his extradition to Puerto Rico will begin.
Sunday, July 7th, a man was shot to death, and another was injured, in events recorded this morning, in the Las Monjas neighborhood, in Hato Rey. The deceased has not been identified. A 9mm Glock 17 pistol, and an AR-15 rifle, without a serial number, both modified to fire automatically, were recovered at the scene. Ammunition was also seized.
Friday, August 5th, a man was killed, and another wounded, during a shooting in Carolina, Puerto Rico. According to the police, the gunshots were recorded at about 2:42 a.m., through the ShotSpotter, shot-stopping system. Upon arrival at the scene, officers located the body of a man with multiple gunshot wounds on the pavement. The deceased was identified as Jose Ramon Nieves Rios, 25 years old, and a resident of Hato Rey. The deceased had a criminal record from 2017 for domestic violence. Another man was also shot. A 32-year-old man sustained gunshot wounds to one of his arms. He was transported to an area hospital in stable condition.
Friday, August 5th, a man was killed, and a second individual received a gunshot wound during a shooting that occurred around 7:30 p.m. Friday in the Hardins Country Club neighborhood in Carolina, police reported. According to a preliminary report, agents from the Carolina district were alerted to shots fired in the area. Upon arrival at the scene, officers found the body of Luis Perez Contreras, 27, a resident of Carolina, who died after receiving multiple bullet wounds. In addition, they found another individual with gunshot wounds, who was transported to an area hospital. His condition was described as stable. The agents seized a 2022 gray Acura MDX vehicle at the scene.
Friday, August 5th, a man and a woman were murdered last night on Highway 976, kilometer 7.0, in Fajardo. According to the police, they found bullet casings of different calibers. The bodies of Jonathan Moore Diaz, 30, and Tiffany Stacy Benvela Cruz, 28, were found inside a 2015 white Toyota Corolla. The victims resided in San Juan and Fajardo, respectively. A call to 911 alerted police to gunshots around 9:20 p.m. According to the report, the following items were seized in the car: a Glock brand pistol, Model 30, caliber .45, a Glock Model 23 pistol, caliber .40, a homemade rifle, and a container with an undetermined amount of controlled substances.
Tuesday, August 9th, authorities seized 2,425 pounds of cocaine, valued at about $22 million, in waters near Puerto Rico, the Coast Guard reported. According to a press release, the confiscation occurred in 3 separate interventions. The first intervention occurred on July 27, when they detected a suspicious 20-foot boat in the waters northwest of Aguadilla. The alleged smugglers threw multiple bales of drugs into the water. They detained 6 people, and recovered 3 bales of the discarded cargo, weighing approximately 330 pounds. Later, on July 29, another suspicious 20-foot vessel was detected in the waters northwest of Desiccio Island. During the intervention, they arrested 4 men, and recovered 8 bales that, together, weighed about 441 pounds. Finally, last Wednesday, they detained a suspicious 25-foot boat, north of Aguadilla. They detained 4 men, and recovered 13 packages that, collectively, weighed around 1,653 pounds. A total of 14 citizens of the Dominican Republic were detained, and will face federal prosecution in Puerto Rico.
A year and a half after a first round of arrests, federal authorities once again dismantled a gang that reorganized and resumed violent operations to control drug trafficking in the Hardins Country Club residential area in San Juan. 23 of the defendants are already in custody, including some who were already in prison, and one who turned himself in the state of Massachusetts, said the head of the Federal Prosecutor's Office in Puerto Rico, Stephen Muldrow. According to the indictment, the gang called PV, or PV Familia, have dedicated themselves to the distribution of heroin, cocaine, crack, marijuana, Percocet, and Xanax, on the premises of the public housing complex. Muldrow pointed out that one of the leaders, identified as Milton Calief Rodriguez Medero, appears to have continued to exercise control of the organization, despite being confined in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. In total, the grand jury issued 37 indictments.
Sunday, August 7th, two cyclists were killed by a car impact, Sunday morning, in Manatí, Puerto Rico. The deceased were identified as Raúl Velázquez Vasquez, 51, a resident of Vega Baja, and Casey Torres Bayet, 43 years old, and a resident of Atillo, Puerto Rico. The filing of charges against the driver could take several additional days, explained the Assistant Director of the Police Traffic Division, Lieutenant Elvis Zeno. The car involved was described as a 2005 green Toyota Corolla. The 29-year-old driver alleged to a municipal police officer, who was at the scene of the accident, that he had worked the night shift at a factory, and he fell asleep behind the wheel. He was tested for alcohol in his body, showing 0.085%. By law, the limit is 0.08%.
The direct impact of spending by guests booking through Airbnb in Puerto Rico was $1.7 billion in 2021, equivalent to 23.4% of all direct tourism activity, according to the findings of a study by Oxford Economics. Airbnb commissioned Oxford Economics to explore the fiscal significance of the platform's expanding footprint in Puerto Rico. The analysis found that in 2021, spending by guests booking through Airbnb, excluding host earnings, directly supported $872.4 million of the island's GDP, and created 24,000 jobs in Puerto Rico, generating $460.4 million in wages, salaries, and other labor income.
As economic indicators point towards recession, in 2022, the Property Registry of Puerto Rico, attached to the Department of Justice, reported that it reduced the backlog of pending documents by 40%, which represents a decrease of approximately 140,000 transactions. The Property Registry of Puerto Rico has an administrative office and 29 operational sections, divided into 13 locations. Its main function is the registration of documents related to real estate transactions, as well as publicizing them. It should be noted that during 2021, there was an increase of 57% in the presentation of documents compared to the year 2020. This, due to a substantial increase in the sale and refinancing of properties on the island, stated Secretary of Justice, JOAQUIN RIO RODRIGUEZ. Puerto Rico's Affordable Housing Index, prepared by economic research firm Estudios Técnicos, revealed a year-over-year deterioration in family income, due to inflation, and the increase in housing prices is limiting local families from buying a dwelling. The index dropped to 69% in March, representing a decrease of 31 percentage points. This means that the typical Puerto Rican family has only 69% of the income necessary to get a mortgage loan. Index reflects that the most recent figures, published by OCIF, as of March, considered an average sale price of $193,813 and a 30-year fixed interest rate of 4.17%. Interest rates have exceeded 6% and will be an additional factor that will add pressure on the affordability of housing in the local market.
Some 500 job offers are available for different positions in the metropolitan area, so Caribbean Temporary Services will hold a job fair this Friday, August 12th, at the Guaynabo Sports Museum. Positions available include customer service assistants, warehouse or production staff, drivers, door-to-door salespeople, as well as clerical, accounting, and food and beverage positions.
Karina Duconge, model, influencer, and actress, was the first Plus woman to participate in a traditional beauty pageant, Miss Univers, in Puerto Rico. The model shared with the candidates about her experience, the challenges, and social criticism faced by Plus women in society and beauty pageants. The competition for Miss Univers 2022 began with the contestants' modeling gowns, created by Puerto Rican designer Christopher Santana. The final gala will be held August 12th.
Here's your weather for the week. Thanks for subscribing. Have an amazing week.